Welcome back, guys. Glad you can join me again. This week we're going to kind of go a little more into metal territory, and we're going to talk about the Phrygian mode. This is the third mode of the scale, so look back at the first video so you can understand where we started and how this is going to relate back to it. This will be the same scale, but starting on the third note of the scale. So kind of keeping in the same key. We started this whole thing in the key of C, so we're going to still be in C major, but we're going to be talking in terms of E Phrygian today. So I'm going to show you what the scale looks like. So we're going to start here on our E note up here on the 7th fret, and we're going to play the scale like so. So you can kind of see in here that what this mode kind of sounds like is a regular major, or I'm sorry, a regular minor scale. So I know we're not there yet. That will be our 6th video. But to kind of show you what a minor scale looks like, it's going to be... So you can already see the one small little difference between the two. So the minor, you had the 1 and the 2. In the Phrygian scale, you're going to have the 1 and the flat 2. So that's really the only difference. Otherwise, it's just a minor scale. And it kind of has this sort of exotic, sort of desperate, sort of anxious, dark, or some people want to say evil, but I don't really hear it that way. I hear it more as like a more dark version of the minor scale. And like I said a minute ago, like the biggest thing that really gives this scale its flavor is that flat 2 note. So you've heard this everywhere. I mean, I'll get to some of the usage here in a minute, but there's a couple other things I want to talk about real quick. But you've heard this everywhere. Anywhere, any heavy music, they'll use this kind of mode just to kind of spice it up and flavor it up and give it even more of a dark feel to it. So yeah, the usage of the scale, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, anybody who's heavy metal, anybody who's hard rock, but it's also used if you want to kind of give it like an Arabic sort of Middle Eastern sound. You can use this scale for that. Or if you just want to make it sound a little sadder or a little more kind of, I guess, more emotional than the minor scale would. So, I don't know, like I personally use this one quite a bit. And in addition to the next couple of modes we're going to cover. But this one I use an awful lot, just so I have a little more flavor compared to the minor scale. Alright, so now we're going to move on to what kind of chords you can use for this. So obviously you're going to start out with the minor first. So this would be E minor. Or if you want to play it way up here, you can. I'm sorry. But the key difference here, as opposed to the major scale, you're not going to have a minor 2, you're going to have a major 2. So in this case, you're going to be playing E minor to F major. So it's kind of what's interesting about this is it's such a sad, dark, kind of, pessimistic sounding scale, yet your first 2 chords, you go from a minor chord to a major chord. So I don't know, I've always found that very interesting with this. But where you get the most mileage out of this is instead of playing the full chords like I showed you, just play the power chords. And already you can kind of hear that sounds a little like Metallica. So, I mean, that's kind of where they get it from, that. So, I mean, that's almost exactly, I mean, you could almost copy and paste that into any Metallica song, really, and that's where they get that from. Some other chords that might be useful to use in a change, like I just did, you go to the 3rd, to the minor 2nd, to the 1st. So, I mean, you've heard that a lot too, I'm sure. Or you can use the, what's really interesting about this is you don't have a stable 5th. In most of these other modes, your 5th chord in the scale, that's kind of, it's called a turnaround chord. So like a lot of the time, if you're playing, I'm just going to pick another key, but if you're playing your home chord here, you go to your 4th and then your 5th, your 5th brings you back to your 1st real easy. It just pulls it right back. Well, in this case, in the Phrygian mode, you don't have a stable 5th like that. You have a diminished chord. So really, in our key that we're playing in, When you play that B, it's going to sound an awful lot like this. So you really kind of want to avoid playing the fifth in this key. You kind of want to stick around to the first, the second, the third. You can use the fourth if you like, but it's a minor 4. So, I mean, you can use, like in this case, we would use A minor. Avoid the B because that's going to be a diminished chord. But then you can go to the 6th, but again, just like I said earlier about the second, how that's really weird, the 6th in this case is also a minor chord. So in this scale, you would be talking, and it would be that major as opposed to minor in most cases, where in most other scales or modes, your 6 is always typically minor, but in this case it's a major, which I think is interesting. And then your 7th is going to be a minor as well. So, like I said, to get the most use out of this, I would just stick to that good old. And if you want to throw the 3 in, like that's really what you want to use this for. And then the scale fits perfectly over that. So, all right, guys. Well, that's really all I wanted to cover in regard to the Phrygian mode this week. I'll do a little bit of, like as I usually do, I'll do a little jam track at the end. But yeah, this one, really the key differences to take out of this one is the Phrygian mode is the minor scale with a flat 2. And it just kind of, again, gives it more of an exotic, desperate, kind of negative sort of feel to it. But it's also metal as hell. So, I mean, that's why they use it. It's got that real darkness. Oh, and one more thing I do want to mention. One other thing you can do, too, with the chords in this is instead of just 1, 2, 3 like that, you can throw in the regular second in addition to that, and that's even more Metallica-like. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of flexibility with this mode. So, all right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed it this week. Next week, we're going to talk about probably my favorite mode, the Lydian mode. And that one, I don't know, like that one is just a lot of fun to use. And you've heard it, especially if you're a fan of progressive music, you've heard it all over the place. But then not too long from now, we'll be finished with these modes. So hopefully you guys enjoy them, and we'll see you guys next week.